Now that we've talked about the sunshine rig and the whole baits, we ought to move to our favorite type of bait for most of our fishing, both chumming and trolling, the fillet bait. Okay, we don't believe in using whole baits and live baits and things of that nature in most of our shark fishing. We all started out fishing that way, but we've discovered that fish that we tease up to the boat are just as likely and probably even more likely to take a bait like a fillet than they are a whole bait or a live bait. So we start off, it's pretty important how you fillet your bait. Again, we're using a Pacific mackerel here. It could be an Atlantic mackerel, it could be a small bluefish or even a bigger bluefish, whatever you like. But we start off by making a cut in front of this little fin here, okay? We want to cut right behind the gill because there's a little hard spot there on almost all fish. And we'll cut down, then turn our blade and continue our cut down toward the tail. And one of the secrets of this rig is don't cut the whole fillet off as if you were going to eat the fish. When you get down toward the tail of the fish, you want to turn your knife toward the spine and cut through it at an angle. This is a necessarily gory part of the whole thing here. And what we're left with is a nice fillet. It's boneless. There's no bones for the hook to turn around and stick in. There's no head to the bait for the hook to turn around and stick in. We used to have those kind of experiences before we went exclusively to fillet baits. Here, you've just got meat for the fish to eat. Before you mount it on your fillet rig, whether you're going to be using the fillet pin on a chumming outfit or whether you're going to be using one on one of our trolling lures, you want to cut off the rib cage here. This is the lower belly section of the bait. As a matter of fact, if there's any kind of remains in there or anything like that, you want to take them out. And you can see the rib cage in here. Well, we want to taper the front of this bait so that it moves through the water in a nice smooth way, and it isn't spinning in the water, but rather kind of swimming. On a trolling bait, when we're dragging the lure through the water, the tail will actually swim great this way. It really looks like a live bait, only it's exuding all the scents and odors from it being cut like this. It's really, really attractive to the fish. Same's true on a fillet bait. We'll throw the fillet bait to the fish. If he's not interested in it, when we pull it, it actually swims away from him. But we have to remove the rib cage. So what we'll do is we take an angled cut like this to get rid of that rib cage. And in essence, we're pointing the nose of the bait. Now, if you want to get fanatical, which I kind of am when I'm doing mine, I go a little further and take a couple other little corners off up here in the front to get a nice pointed presentation on the bait. Then, with your chum leader, if this is what you're using the fillet for, you want to insert your hook through on the meat side. And I generally try to find, there's a section of ribs in here on just about any bait. I try to stick my hook point in there and just don't go through all the way to the barb, but make a hole through the bait for you to stick your clip through. Then open your fillet pin up and take the end of it and try to retrace that hole that you put in there with your hook point. Bring it through. Hope you can see that. And then snap it to your main leader. Now you've got a nice straight fillet bait. What you do have to do, and Rich, maybe you could hang on to the top of that leader for me because you usually do this with it hanging off a rod tip or something, is when you place the point of the hook in the bait, you want to hump that fillet bait up a little bit and stick your hook right in the middle. Bring it through the skin side, hopefully so that it hangs straight. And we got lucky this time. We have a nice hook bait in there that's hanging straight. It's well back in the fillet so that the first bite of the shark is going to have the hook in his mouth right away. That's important to us because we release a lot of our sharks, especially the mako sharks. We release some pretty big ones and we release a lot of small ones. Now you're going to rig on a trolling outfit. The trolling leader is just a lot heavier duty than our chumming leader. And you're going to rig your fillets on the chumming leader, the trolling leader, the same way. You're going to open up this clip here, put it in the nose of the bait, and then have your hook back here and perhaps the tail of the bait back about this far, which is going to give you, when a fish comes up and hits that lure, he's going to see that tail swimming and that fresh meat back there, and he's going to nail it. They do it every time. For you people that haven't tried trolling, you really need to give it a shot. It's very, very effective. And the fillet is a key to it. You don't want to use a whole bait most of the time because we'll be trolling these lures at pretty high speeds, and a whole bait will tend to start the whole thing spinning and so on and so forth, where a fillet will give you this back and forth swimming action behind the lure. And that's basically how we prepare our main bait. And when I say our main bait, I guess I'd have to say just about our only bait, huh, Rich?
You bet.